Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Hope you had a great week. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond. And for those of you who tune in every single week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, welcome back. Super happy that you are joining today. And I apologize for jumping on a little bit later today. Hi, thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Sorry, I'm a little bit late today. I'm glad that I'm able to do this live with you all today because I had a crazy situation at the airport. Trying to catch a connection flight into where I'm at now, which is Tennessee. Thankfully, I caught it, but I will not lie to you. I think I probably sprinted as fast as I possibly could and ever have in my life. True story. To catch that connection flight. So hi, thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Good evening to you as well. Hope you had a great week. For those of you starting to join here, again, sorry I'm on a tad bit later, but travel situations. But I am here in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm excited that I will be doing a keynote tomorrow morning here for some educators related to children's mental health. So I'm excited about that. For those of you last week that missed the first Tuesday of the month, just a reminder, that one was pre-recorded because I was on a flight at that time with some youth on a trip. So that is on YouTube, and all the past episodes on Mental Health Moment are also on my YouTube page as well, in case you ever miss them. Thank you so much. Someone said, glad you had a safe flight. Yes, me too. And I'm really glad I caught the flight. It was about, I want to say about 2 minutes before the door closed. So like I said, when I say sprinted to get there, I really do mean it, but I made the flight. So it's all good. But yes, welcome to Mental Health Moment with Dr. Hammond. Today, I really want to stress how important it is when we think about wellness and we think about making adjustments. Because I know a lot of this part of this year, we've talked probably at length about healing, all of us healing in some way from everything that the COVID pandemic brought, thinking about your wellness goals, thinking about your recovery time, and I mean your mental health recovery and your wellness time, and what does that mean for you and all of your goals. But now that here we are, I mean, pretty much halfway through the year, I want you to really think about transitioning and thinking about now what do you need to adjust without blame and without judgment of yourself, because you may be looking at those goals that hopefully you made at the beginning of the year, right? And be like, Dr. Hammond, I am so far behind and where I need to be with these wellness goals and where I thought I would be. For some of you, you may be like, I already accomplished these goals. I'm ready to add more to my list. But really, the biggest thing, especially when it comes to your mental health, is to understand that life is going to happen. So I don't know what happened in the last 6 months in your life, but I can guarantee you, well, what I do know is that life always throws us surprises. So that being the case, seeing that there's a lot that's within our control, but there's other things that are not within our control. That's why I want you to practice when you make these adjustments in your goals and you really take a look at where you're at, to think about not having the shame or the blame or why couldn't I or why didn't I. Let's try to take that out of it. And I know it's hard. I really know it's hard, but I want to, and thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. But I want to remind you that it's really important. We always talk about this. It's really important to check in with yourself. And especially, as I mentioned, about halfway here through the year, to really think about, okay, but what did you accomplish though? And where are you at? Because you're not the same person you were 6 months ago. Hopefully we've moved forward, right? But regardless, something has changed. And maybe you're like, man, I'm in a darker place. But we know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but we know sometimes in darker places is where the most amount of growth happens to you. Whether it's spiritual healing you need, or emotional, mental, physical, whatever, wherever you're at in this wellness journey, sometimes those darker places are meant to make you stronger. I mean, they definitely are, but I know it's hard. Uh, but think about that and know and believe and have hope that you will get through. Or for some of you, again, you may be in a really bright, amazing place with where you're at. But again, that's my biggest tip for you today is to think about, where do I need to adjust? Where do I need to start to make some changes? Do I need to speed up, or do I need to slow down? That's always a question. And this is something that I ask myself as well. Many of you know, for those of you who are not new to Mental Health Moment, that usually I'm in a new city or doing something or another, or running all over the place. That is just, it is where God has me at this time in my life. But I often ask myself, okay, well, I know how fast my life goes sometimes. So do I need, in this moment, do I need to keep speeding up, or do I need to slow down? So that's a question I need for you to ask yourself too. And it's not as if you're taking away from who you are as a person, whatever your personality may be. But make sure that, again, you're adjusting, you're listening to your body. Very important. Your body does not lie to you. And when your body tells you, I am exhausted, I need rest, and I need a break, you need to listen to your body. So, do you need to make those adjustments physically in whatever schedule you have, whatever it is you're doing, or again, mentally, emotionally, wherever, again, all of us are at different points, but wherever you're at, where do you need to make those adjustments today? Someone said, thanks for being faithful to your Facebook ministry. Absolutely. So thanks for those. I see you guys checking in here on Facebook and LinkedIn, and also YouTube Live, of course. So thanks again for joining. Someone said, in the last 2 years has been something. It has. And it's been heavy, you all. Well, in all of our lifetimes, I'm sure, like, just globally, what we went through as a global community to completely shut the world down. Again, I always tell you all this, but there's still a lot that your brain is processing from that. No matter where you're at in the world, it's a lot. It was not something we expected, this COVID pandemic. So it's a lot to process. It can be a lot to get through, especially with your personal lives. Again, thinking, when you reflect back for this year, for 2022, you know, again, work on celebrating where you're at. And even if you took some baby steps, celebrate those too. But again, you are allowed to make adjustments. That is what this whole mental health moment is about today, about making adjustments. Today, for example, I did not think I would be sprinting as fast as I could to my flight, to my connection flight. But again, even if I had missed it, sometimes we have to make adjustments. There were things outside of our control. It happened to be Mother Nature today with this crazy flight situation, but we have to make adjustments. That is just what life is going to bring about for us. And it is okay to do that. Someone said, yep. Someone said, please listen to your body and establish, I think you were saying, boundaries. You absolutely have to establish boundaries for you. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, I do my Tuesday tip. Today was thinking about, and I always tell you all this too on Mental Health Moment, but do what works for you. Very, very important. Even all the tips that I love giving to you all every single week on Mental Health Moment, I really want you to, and what you're reading online and what you're seeing about wellness, please take the things that work for you and implement them. Not everything is going to apply to you, and that's okay. But again, I love that person's comment about really thinking about establishing boundaries, because all of our boundaries are different. When you think about social media and what you decide to share online, all of our boundaries are different. Do what works for you, and do the things that will trigger you the least. We all have triggers emotionally and mentally and spiritually, and things that just weigh us down. Think about those things, and how can you better change your situation with the things that you do control, to make sure that you are thriving, that you're in a state of thriving. And someone said, adjustments are so important. They absolutely are. Someone said, I need to make major adjustments and reestablish boundaries for my health, both physically and mentally. Wonderful. And the thing is, the biggest thing about whatever mental health goal that you made, or whatever wellness goal you make, is taking the time. I know all of us are busy, but taking the time to stop and reflect and be like, where am I at? And check in with yourself and then make the changes that you need to move forward. For some of you, if you made your list, you may be like, man, Dr. Hammond, of the 5 things I made, I'm about to drop off 3 of these things and just focus on 2. That's okay. For some of you, you might be like, I had 3 things. I crushed those goals. I'm good. I'm adding 2 more. Great. Like there's not a right or wrong to this. This is your life. And someone said it best. Yes, and find your happy place. Yes, because you deserve to be happy. You deserve happiness. So that being the case, as long as things are moral and legal, I always say do whatever it is that works best for you to make you happy, to make sure that you are thriving, and however that looks for you. Someone said, "Yep, we are all unique. We absolutely are, with unique needs." And that is so true. So because of our uniqueness, of course, that is why it is so important to all of us are going to have different experiences, to think about adjusting, fine tuning the things you want to work on, continuing though, no matter what the circumstances may be, continuing to think about your own level of awareness of where you're at. And again, working on this may be something you're working on or not, but if you're in a place where you're working on the self blame, the judgment, the criticism, to continue to work on that, because it really can help when you see yourself differently, when you know you're imperfect. We're all imperfect. And you're working towards being the best version of yourself. So that's the goal for mental health moment here. Uh, and and there's nothing wrong, even again, for many of us, we'll work on getting into this place, and you could be in a really great space right now, and something happens in your life and you feel like, Dr. Hammond, I took 2 steps forward and now I feel like I took 10 steps back. And if that situation is true for you right now, just know that that is okay. That is really just a part of life. But remember, even in the hardest times, as I mentioned, that you can still take the steps forward. If you were like, again, I keep thinking about my flight day, but you were sprinting towards a certain goal and now you have to walk and take some baby steps. That's okay. There's no reward for how fast you're going or how slow you're going. The most important thing for you is to think about you moving forward with whatever goals are going to get you to a happy place, to a healthy place, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, all those aspects of your life, because that's really what can really enrich your life, so that you can thrive. Someone said, I actually started a journal just for mental health moment. Oh, to do the tips and exercises you give each week. Thanks so much. This is like my mental health session each week. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. So yeah, so you can be like this person in the chat here that said you can get a journal. Yeah, if you want to bring notes, if you're a note taker, you can take notes. I'm totally okay with that. I hope you do, and I hope that you really think about implementing these things, because it's just so important. And again, I always say, for those of you who are not new to mental health moment, I have told you before, I still remember the time in my life where self-care was not a high priority. I was awful at it. I was a horrible critic of myself. I had the self-blame and I had massive self-doubt, and I didn't take care of myself, all these things. And taking a huge journey, a long journey into working, because it's work, to working on that emotionally and mentally and spiritually. I can honestly tell you now I'm in such a better place. For me, and again, for mental health moment, everyone, every religion and ethnicity, race, gender, everyone is welcome here. But I will say, for me personally, as a believer, I feel closer to God than I ever have been in my life, like spiritually, great, like emotionally, mentally, just. However, though, to get to that place, I want to remind you that I was not at that place, but I took the time each day to work towards building a better version of myself, which is why I'm honored and happy to be here with you on Mental Health Moment to share tips professionally and personally of how you can move forward in that journey to be in that place, because again, you deserve to be happy. You are worthy of that. And some of us, which is okay, some of us have issues with feeling worthy of love or feeling worthy of happiness or feeling worthy of being mentally and emotionally stable and healthy. And if that's your issue, again, as I mentioned probably 5 times in this video, but it's so important for you to recognize where you are at and not place judgment on that area. It's funny because I remember a while back, I used to look back on who I was and what I was doing. I was like, man, why would I do? And it was from a place of self blame, right? And a place of judgment. I'm like, why would I be like, why would I do? And I said, no, we can't blame ourselves for who we used to be because we may not have known better at the time. But when you learn better things and you understand how to better yourself and you get it and that light bulb goes off and your brain, then you can work towards it. And wherever you're at again in this mental health journey, I want to remind you that if you're like 1 year in, 1 minute in, 10 years in, or wherever you're at with truly making a change in your life, I want you to understand that who you used to be or who you were 5, 10, 15 years ago, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but you don't have to look back with a place of self-blame or self-doubt. That older version of you just wasn't ready to make the changes to who you are continuing to be today. And that's okay. That's okay. So we're not going to blame the older versions of ourselves, right? That's really, really important. Someone said, I send text messages to my friends and families on Wednesdays to celebrate themselves on Wellness Wednesday. Yay! I love that. I love that idea. So for the person that was taking notes, you can write that down. And good evening to you as well, for those of you joining here. So someone said they send text messages to friends and family on Wednesdays to celebrate themselves on Wellness Wednesday, and people love it. I love that too. That's so cool. And make sure that you're doing this. I know we're talking today about adjustment and the things that you need to do in your life. We all need to do in our lives to make this adjustment as we're about halfway through the year. But also, just as an aside, because I really like that message you sent. Just as an aside, make sure you are celebrating people too. If you see someone on social media that has anything, it could be something small to celebrate, just to say, great job, congratulations, that's amazing, just that's incredible. Like, sending those messages of positivity are important for that person that's receiving it, but it's also something that can really help your mental health too. So send those messages. Again, I talked at length on another mental health moment about this, but there are a lot of people that are really, really deeply hurting right now. And the smallest messages that you think may not be meaningful to you goes a really, really, really long way to someone that's hurting and in a place of darkness. It just does. And you never know the impact you're having on someone when you give those, what we think are small messages, but they're really big to someone. So yes, I agree with you, and I encourage all of you to make sure you're doing that too, and reaching out again, well, social media or thank you cards or a text or email or whatever it is that you could do, again, to spread some positivity. We know there's been a lot of heavy things in the world, unfortunately, the last couple weeks in the news. So let's just spread some positivity. So that's my commercial right there. real quick. Someone says, me too, I feel closer to God as well. For he never left us while we were going through mind, body, and soul. Yes, absolutely. And it's, I mean, it really changes your perspective. So again, no matter what your spiritual beliefs are watching this, or whatever your beliefs are, if you believe in a higher power, it just really changes your perspective on things that you can control and things that are outside of your control, and believing that things are happening for your good. When you really get in that mindset, it really can help you to cope with a lot of things that life throws at you. So I just encourage you to go through that process again, wherever you're at, spiritually as well. Someone says, I am working hard to be a better me. I love it. And just as a reminder, working hard on being a better version of yourself, I'm grateful to be here with you every week on Mental Health Moment. However, this is a lifelong process. So one of my coaches, one of my speaking coaches, his name is Jeremy Anderson. He always reminds us, and I love this quote, that we should always be grateful, but never settle. So just always grateful, never settle. And that goes with who we are, becoming better versions of ourselves as well. Because even though right now, and I'm elated to be where I'm at compared to, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so, who I was as a person as far as self-care and where I'm at in my spiritual journey and mental health journey. However, maybe 10 years from now, I'll be even a better person, and the next 10 years and the next, right? So there's not really an ending point when it comes to this journey that we're all on. But the bigger point is for you to continue to learn, as you all are here today. Thank you, and just continue to move forward, because again, the next year may be amazing, or not, and that's okay. But nonetheless, throughout whatever it is that is thrown at you, you can continue to grow as a person. Someone else said, I'm working on giving myself a break. Yes. I judge myself so harshly, and I'm a believer too. So I feel guilty all the time if I don't reach my goals, but I'm getting better. Good for you. And it really, really is a process. I know I say that 5 million times on this show, that it is a process, but it really, really just is a process about not judging yourself as harshly and working on not having as much guilt. Um, One of the things that helped, and it was funny because there was a lady I talked to once that was like, "You're way too hard on yourself." Basically, I had a great conversation with her. It was at a conference actually. But when you take the time to celebrate the small things, that's why if you follow me on social, you'll see I celebrate almost everything. Like little tiny things, I'll be like, "Oh," like I'm always celebrating something, because when you do that, you almost train your brain to be okay, like you're okay as a person. Celebrate the small things. Be happy in those smaller moments too, because there are big goals that we all are going to have, and you're going to get disappointed. I mean, that just happens sometimes. But to deal with the disappointment that you may still have, and that's okay. You're still celebrating yourself along the way with even the smaller tasks. So it trains your brain to look for the good that you are doing. Because I know, even though I haven't met you all personally, I know a lot of you all are doing good and great things. And the fact that you're here listening to Mental Health Moment, whether you're listening or watching right now or watching the replay, um, the fact that you're even doing that, I know that you want to work on being a better version of yourself. Uh, so, so it's really important again to celebrate those small moments. If you're like, hey, I tuned in today to Mental Health Moment, or I read a self-help book, or I listened to something inspirational on a podcast. I looked up a quote today. I saw something positive on social media. Whatever it is that you did, celebrate those things. And if you have a problem with that part, with celebrating the small things, then it really helps to jot things down for those of you who like, again, the journals or apps or things like that, to visually see it and put it where you can see it, like you are doing these things, because your brain will trick you sometimes, I swear. That's a whole nother topic. Our brains, they'll trick us sometimes and tell us, oh no, you're not, especially if you judge yourself harshly, but you really are. So oops, so thanks for sharing that. Someone said, I personally believe if you can do it, if you can do it to me, then you have to be open. Someone said, I I love this comment. I found my happy place at Lowe's lately. Once I went back to the stores, I didn't realize how much I love to decorate my oasis outside. In my sheep porch. I never heard of that term. I like that. My sheep porch. Like there's a man cave, the sheep porch. I like it. But no, I mean, and again, your happy place is at Lowe's. I mean, listen, you all, wherever your happy place is at, make sure you spend time in those places. Make sure you spend time, you force yourself if you have to find the things that are joyous to you and spend time in those areas. Because again, as we talk about adjustments to your goals, sometimes we can get so caught up and everything happening. I know the last couple weeks, people have been like, this is so depressing. Everything that's happening in the world, and the world news, and I mean, the mass shootings, and it's like it was so much at once, and it was so hard to process. And they are horrific things. And so to process all that for our brain, I really, really want you all to make sure that you're spending those joyous times and you're finding your happy place, whatever that is that it looks like for you. Um, yep. Yep. I'm glad someone brought that up. Someone said, preserving your mental health is urgent. A hotline 988 was just created for people to call that has mental health issues and need someone to talk to. This is to help the mental health crisis in the world. It's a huge problem. Yes. I'm glad you brought that up too. That absolutely is true on the new hotline 988. And I want to say, I can't remember if it's in all areas of the US yet. I have to check that part because for some reason July is coming up as a possibility of it being in all areas. But nonetheless, there are many different hotlines. There's many different sources of support when it comes to mental health. As I always tell you all, you are always welcome to contact me on social media, direct message, website, drkeishahammond.com, or Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you need to contact me. I'm more than happy to try to connect you with resources in your area. If it's a mental health professional, if it's a resource or whatever it is that you need in order to really think about moving forward with your mental health journey. Someone said, count your blessings. I agree. I am also working on myself, but I do try equally to give myself gratitude. Very, very important. There's so much research, actually, you all. I mean, I know I talk about gratitude a lot on Mental Health Moment, but there's actually a lot of research about how that affects us positively and how it affects our brain and how it helps us to feel good, how it helps you in this mental health journey. So I'm not just saying it, but it really, really is true. Expressing your gratitude for others, feeling like just that feeling of gratitude can be really, really amazing. I know this past week, last week into the beginning of this week, I was in Houston actually with the Ryan Neese Foundation, their student service program, and seeing, first of all, these teenagers were like amazing. They worked on so many different volunteer projects. We were helping youth that were in the foster care system. We're helping people that experience homelessness, food insecurity. We helped to restore a house. This lady had been a part of the hurricane, and then there was a fire, a flood, all sorts of different things happening. But during that time, during those volunteer times, I remember, first of all, being extremely grateful for these amazing teenagers, 16, 17, 18-year-old teenagers that were working on this project, but also because of the different environments we were in, it reminded us of some of the things we took for granted in our own lives and how seriously important it is to be grateful for what you had. Because there's a lot of need. And there's a lot of ways for us to help people, but at the same time to learn about ourselves and learn about the things that we just really take for granted. I mean, clean water, or maybe it's a warm shower, or maybe it's food on your table, like things that we think are simple, other people have to think about on a daily basis where they're getting their next shower from, or their clothing, or washing clothes, or charging a phone, and things like that. So I agree with that person that brought that up. Very, very important to really be thinking about gratitude. Our gratitude is so important. And again, remembering it does help your mental health as well. Yeah, someone said, I found my happy place too. Someone said, my happy place is hiking. I find nature brings me a sense of calm. And believe it or not, I'm glad you brought that up. Do not quote me on the country. I believe it's somewhere in Europe, but I can't remember what country it was. But I read one time online that there were doctors who were prescribing being in nature, like just how you would think, well, at least I could speak in the US. I don't believe we have that yet, where doctors are prescribing for you to go out and spend time in nature. It's more like prescribing a certain medication. But it was fascinating to me because there's so much research on that too, about how being in nature can really affect us. It can help lower blood pressure for some people. It can help us be in a calmer state. It can help us just to reset and refocus. So again, I'm glad someone brought that up. It is, and I love it too. You all already know, for some of you, you already know my being in nature. If you are on Instagram, one of my highlights is called "Take a Minute," and I have like a ton of sunsets and sunrises and just beautiful nature things throughout the country, different places that I've visited. But just a reminder for us, as I call it, just to take a minute and reset and recharge, especially in nature, because it really does have healing properties. Someone else says, I'm a caregiver to both my parents, so I have to stay focused on God. It can be challenging and weigh me down spiritually, but it's very, very important. So thank you for this. I needed this tonight. God bless you. Oh, God bless you too. God bless you too. And for those of you, especially, and kudos to you, first of all, for taking care of your parents. For those of you who are taking care of parents, or you're taking care of children, or you're taking care of a friend or family, or you just are taking care of people because you're a giver, especially for you, it is really, really critical that you are very aware of where you're at with your mental health journey. You're very aware of your stress level, of your, where you need to, what you need to do next. Meaning, if you're like, I need to slow it down, I need to speed it up, I need to take my breaks. Where are you at with that? Make sure that, and this is for everyone, but really, really, really make sure that you're checking in with yourself often. I love it. Someone said, I love this one. Someone said, I enjoyed ducks sunbathing today. That is super cool. That is really, really cool. That, you know what, that seems really calming actually. I'm liking that one. I just saw a video. It's funny you should mention that. I just saw a video today on social media. It was this little baby, probably like 6 months old or so, but they were sitting up in this little baby pool with like baby ducks swimming around her. It was really cute. So yes, I love that. Watching ducks sunbathing today, very cool. And someone said, yes, I love nature and the skies and parks. Someone said they live near a botanical garden, which is amazing. I hope you are spending time there. Someone said Poconos is a great place to go. I went last month and it was so peaceful. It really is. Well, I would highly recommend it. So if you live near, I live in Florida, so I'm obviously near beaches, but even if you're not near a beach, but you're near a lake, a river, a mountain, anything, a park, find those places if you can, and really try to take some downtime. And it doesn't even have to be a long amount of time, but again, when you think about retraining your brain to go into calm mode, if you're one of those people that are like just go go go, or you're working on your self-care, when you get into nature and you train your brain to take the breaks, you train your brain. You can take, I mean, mental pictures. When you're out there in nature, we have memories, right? Which is a good thing. You can think about seeing these things or experiencing it however you experience it, and taking those memories with you and utilizing that also to help with your mental health journey. Someone said awesome. Someone said, yeah, yay, Florida. uh, but yeah, so and for you all that are really into nature, I'm same way. So even on my phone, the screen on there, the front screen on my phone, it's something of nature. It's usually something of nature, or maybe on my computer, it's something related to nature. So even if you're not physically in nature, surrounding yourself with the pictures or the videos or things like that, or watching videos, as I mentioned, those types of things can be really, really helpful to you. Just getting back to that place mentally can be very calming for you. So I would recommend that as well. Um, Thank you so much. Someone said thank you. I will pray for you as well, sis. Thank you so much for your prayers. I appreciate it. But as I wrap up here today, I want to again remind you, and thank you all, by the way, for all of your comments. I always love reading your comments. Thank you all for sharing that. And for those of you listening in on the podcast, thank you for listening. Or if you're watching the replay, thank you as well. But I just want to remind you again, as I wrap up here, that it is so important for you, and I love all of the suggestions today, to be thinking about where you need to adjust. And as you think about those things, you can add in more of what you need. So if you need to add in more time in nature, if you need to add in more breaks, if you need to not do as many breaks, and maybe think, man, I've been kind of off. I want to get more back more into being productive, or wherever it is that you're at, it is okay to adjust. It is okay to adjust those goals. So someone said my sheep porch is beach themed. I love it. I love it. So really think about that in your mental health journey. Again, if you all need me at any time, you know where to reach me, drnikishahammond.com, or on social media, you can reach out, Dr. Hammond on Instagram, or Dr. Nikisha Hammond on Facebook, LinkedIn, Dr. Nikisha Hammond, or Twitter, wherever else you are on social media. More than happy to answer your questions as always. I'm always sending out articles throughout different places related to mental health and resources. But if you need more, feel free to reach out, and I'm more than happy to help you. But I will be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn Live. So have an amazing week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.